See, this entire Russian attack on Ukraine, it started on 24th of February and today is the 2nd of April. It's been over a month, well over a month. And I think the momentum for war has been lost. That is what I feel. Every war is fought with fought with a certain objective in mind. You cannot fight a war without an objective. What is your final objective? Now, Ukraine militarily is a very small country, militarily. And Russia is a military superpower. It is no longer the USSR, but Russia still remains militarily among the 2 or 3 mightiest nations on earth. Of that, there is no doubt. The number of aircraft Russia has, the number of ships, nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers, missiles, ground troops. Russia should have been able to finish this Apurva in a few days. I don't know why. I can only guess, and during the course of our conversation, I would like to hazard a few guesses and tell our viewers why Russia has lagged behind. But it's very, very surprising that a military superpower, and I use this word very carefully, military superpower like Russia, has not been able to crush Ukraine for over a month now, and the Ukrainians are resisting. And yesterday, I read in the news that they had attacked an oil depot inside Russia. There was an airstrike. They probably used attack helicopters, if I'm not mistaken. So they've used air assets against Russia. The whole thing is, yes, Ukraine is battered. Okay? Ukraine is bleeding. There is mass exodus in Ukraine. Apurva, the people are suffering. But the thing is that Ukraine is still in the fight. And as a soldier, or as a former soldier, I start thinking, why has Russia not been able to achieve its military objectives? You know, why has Russia not been able to achieve its? It's going to be 1.5 months in a few days' time, and Russia has not been able to. And it does not look, there is no probability of Russia taking over the major cities of Ukraine. They have not been able to do that. There are lots of reports of infighting amongst the Russian soldiers. I read a report on BBC where they said that they threw their own commander under a tank and they killed him, and they are deserting in droves, and they I think shot down one of their own aircraft by mistake, and they're refusing to fight. Now, I don't know how much of this is true, but a lot of credible news sources are carrying this. Russia is facing a major problem. You wouldn't expect all this out of a superpower like Russia. You know, Russia is a big deal, right? Russia is all about mechanized warfare. It's all about massed artillery. Russia is about crack infantry troops. It's about special forces. It's about aircraft, submarines, the whole jing-bang. Where is the war machinery of Russia? And why has Russia not been able to subjugate Ukraine, which is at best a minor military power? What went wrong for Russia? Because I think Russia has lost the momentum, and at least it has lost the narratives, because so much is now happening to Russia, which Russia never bargained for. This war should have been a quick in and a quick out, and that would have been victory. Now, even if Russia is victorious in the end, what kind of a victory would that be? Apurva, I think logistics are the essence of war. Logistics are perhaps the most crucial and the most crucial component of any war. What I'm given to believe, and I've read a lot of experts on this war, and what they say is that typically Russia moves its, and so does India, by the way, and to a large extent China also. Their whole strategy of moving logistics is majorly through rolling stock or trains. जिसको हिंदी में मालगाड़ी कहते हैं, through that. And all of these actually they stop at major cities. Russia has not been able to capture major cities. Logistics has become a very, very big problem for Russia. You know, you supply your troops with food, ammunition, fuel. You have to evacuate the wounded. You have to show respect to the dead and those who have given up their lives, and carry them back to their place, their home. There is so much more, and logistics are a 24/7 requirement of any army. I mean, you can't fight a war without logistics. Whether it's India, whether it's America, whether it's Russia, China, any country, you cannot fight a war without top-class logistics. Let me take you back to what happened in East Ladakh and what's happening in East Ladakh. Apart from both the armies, I'm talking about the PLA and the Indian Army facing off each other along the line of actual control in East Ladakh and other places also, along the LAC. This has finally come down to logistics. Which country handles logistics better? And I must say India has handled its logistics marvelously. Something that Russia has been unable to do. You see, morale of soldiers is one thing, and that I think comes from training, that comes from discipline, that comes from leadership. But the role of logistics in any conflict is paramount. Like in India, we have the Army Service Corps, right? We have the Army Ordnance Corps, and these two services of the Indian Army are majorly involved in logistics. They are the lifeline. They are like the veins and arteries of the body through which everything runs. Now, what has happened is that this for the Russian army has collapsed, more or less. And today, you see, while you might carry out airstrikes against a target and you might cause widespread destruction by firing missiles, it is the infantry soldier who has to capture ground. You see, I can bomb a city, like the Americans famously said, bomb it back to the Stone Age. You can do that. You can do that. You have the missiles to do that. You have the aircraft, the helicopters, you have the air assets to do that. Certainly, you can bomb a city to the Stone Age. But then inside the city, you need to send soldiers so they can hold ground and claim that city for Russia. That part has not happened. That part has not happened for Russia. And that is surprising because, hey, at the end of the day, Russia is a superpower, right? Russia is this mammoth 800-pound gorilla. And it has not been able to capture territory, so to say. And the Ukrainians are pushing back. So that comes as a surprise. Now, Russia will be judged. And that sheen about, and I'm saying this, maybe I'm being a little too critical, but that sheen which always was present, that Russia is such a great military power. I think what the Ukrainians have done, Ukrainians are not winning this war, by the way. Whatever I might say, they can't win this war. They'll be damaged very badly. But the fact of the matter is, Russia too has been damaged. That entire reputation of Russia, having a fearsome army, I think that has taken a very bad beating. I think Russia is absolutely bleeding from sanctions. Russia is bleeding from sanctions. Russia always had a foreign exchange crisis, all right, though it has decent foreign exchange reserves. But that is not something that you spend on an ongoing basis. Now, Russia has limited industries. Oil and gas is one very big thing in Russia. The second thing is minerals. Oil is very big in Russia. Now, what the West has done is clamp down on it. And I think Russia is really suffering, really bleeding, because you can only fight when you have an economy. Without an economy, you cannot fight. The military and the economy go hand in hand. And if you look at China, this whole thing that we have a limitless partnership and all. China is very fond of these phrases, but what Russia requires is foreign exchange. China may buy Russian oil, but I think there will be a time when India will also have to reconsider her options, because there is a lot of popular discontent against the way Russia has. And we have suffered equally with China, though China did not come inside India. But the fact is that China is an aggressor. China wants to come inside India, and has been wanting ever since Doklam, and even before. In 1962, China captured thousands of kilometers of Indian territory, which is still under Chinese control. So, you see, you cannot support whatever be the issue that Russia has with Ukraine, saying that you cannot be a part of NATO, and I think these are legitimate Russian interests. These are legitimate. But Apurva, the fact of the matter is that that is why you have the United Nations. That is why you have diplomacy. That is why you have the Foreign Office. You talk, you try to sort it out. You don't attack countries, you know, and a lot of people say that, so what if Russia attacked? You know, America has done the same for Iraq, and yes, what the Americans did was wrong. What the Americans did in Afghanistan was wrong. What they did in Iraq was wrong. What they did in Vietnam and Korea was wrong. But two wrongs don't make a right, you know. Just because the Americans did it and the Russians do it, that doesn't make it right. Both Russia and America were wrong. You don't attack countries, yeah. You don't attack countries nowadays. And the fact of the matter is, all these Chinese protestations or all these Chinese promises of friendship forever and that bonding forever, everything with China comes with strings attached. Nothing with China is without strings. I mean, forget about Russia. Russia is a major military power. And if you talk about land mass, it's the largest country on earth. But, you know, China has not even spared small countries like Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is now undergoing a major crisis, major economic crisis. And Nepal is also undergoing an economic crisis. And especially Sri Lanka, you know, it started off with one family, the ruling family, the Rajpaksha ruling family of Sri Lanka, taking money from the Chinese. And though it has a lot to do with their own shenanigans, it has to do a lot with their own fault, the Sri Lankan government's own fault. But the fact of the matter is, China has played a very important role in bringing Sri Lanka to that level. And this is what China does. And if Russia thinks that this so-called limitless partnership, a partnership with no limits, I mean, no limits, what? Is China going to send the Chinese army, the PLA, into Ukraine? No, it's not. No, it's not. And if NATO comes to the doorstep of Russia, will China mobilize the PLA? China will never mobilize the PLA. China can only fight with a checkbook. China cannot fight with guns. We have seen that. See, this is a very difficult question, and I don't know if I can answer this question, but I think India has taken sides already in this Ukraine and Russia war. Now, people generally think that there should be two sides. Either you're with the West or you're with Russia. I think India has taken its own side. And this is what traditionally India has been doing, Apurva, taking its own side. India says that we will do what is in the best interests of India. But somewhere along the way, I think India is going to have to realize that it doesn't work that way. I mean, of course, you can push back the Americans and the world. It's not just the Americans, by the way. Today, it's almost the entire Europe, almost. It is America. It is much of the civilized world. So, a lot of respect for our Foreign Office, a lot of respect for the way they have walked the tightrope, and I think it takes a lot of mature and deft diplomacy to do that. So, a big salute to our own Foreign Office. Dr. Jaishankar has done a fantastic job, but we need to also communicate to the Americans. You know, you have American people coming here and Americans, you know, coming here and saying that, you know, not threatening, because they won't dare threaten India, but saying in so many words that, you know, India needs to change and all that. And someone even made the comment that if China attacks India, Russia will not help India. That is what one American senior official said. I think Dilip Singh or something, he's of Indian descent. I forget the gentleman's name, but he said that if China attacks India, Russia will not come to India's help. But neither will the United States of America, no? India has to look after its own interests, and that is the core of our diplomacy. If China comes knocking along the line of actual control, now they're saying Russia will not help India. What is America going to do? Put the US Marines in Ladakh? No, that's not likely to happen, and neither will we allow it. We have a country, and I think we're capable enough of taking care. So this entire thing about talking down to India, it doesn't help, you know. I think the Americans should realize there will be a better way of, or there should be a better way of dealing with India. Understanding that India too has legitimate interests. Understanding that there is only one counterbalance to China, in Asia, and that is India. So, if you want India on your side, I'm talking about the Americans, then you cannot treat India the way you treat other countries. Because you want more from India. है ना? You want more from India. भाई आपको चाहिए, आपको India से चाहिए. You need India to stand up against China, which India is doing anyway, irrespective of America. India is part of Quad, and irrespective of the Quad, India is countering China everywhere, in the seas, in the mountains, everywhere. But to say that Russia will not come to India's aid if China attacks, I think that is a highly immature statement, and we do not need Russia's help to counter China. I mean, the Indian Army, the Navy, and the Air Force is more than capable, and this is not 1962, where China goes inside or comes inside Indian territory and takes over land. That's not going to happen. The Chinese, if they come inside India, are going to have to pay an extremely steep price, will result in a lot of bloodshed.